All right, welcome to Tess, our copywriter here at Luminus. Tess, why don't you give everyone a little bit of the rundown of what you do on the team, and then we'll get into your favorite project.
Sure. Like Tim said, I am the copywriter, which means that anything that needs words to go along with it, I write those words, and I also am fairly involved in the kind of brand strategy, overall messaging strategy for what those words should be, and figuring out what the audience is going to want to hear.
So the words will actually do something for you and not
That's
just be words.
that's the goal.
Why don't you tell us what your favorite project is, and then we'll dive into some of the aspects of it that make it your favorite.
Sure. So my favorite project, I guess to know why it's my favorite project, I'll start by talking about the things that I like about my job. So one of the things that I really like about being a copywriter is getting to learn about all kinds of industries and products and services that I otherwise would just have absolutely no reason to know about at all. So I really enjoy the learning aspect of my job, and it's one of the reasons that I also love agency work because it's always something new and different. I'm not getting pigeonholed into one topic or one industry. So for those reasons, my favorite project was a pitch deck that we did for a company called Circuit Clinical, and they are a startup. So the pitch deck was going to venture capitalists and trying to, get them to give them a lot of startup money to get their operations really up and running and expand outside of the Western New York area.
Yeah, how was it working on that project with them? And it was a pretty deep dive. That's a fairly complicated product and service that they provide. So that experience was probably pretty intense. Is that part of the factor about why it stuck out to you?
Yeah, it was. So it for me as a copywriter, it was kind of one of those perfect mixes of from a marketing perspective, I know how to spin certain things, get people's attention, deliver a message very concisely. The venture capitalist aspect of it was brand new to me. That
Hmm.
wasn't something that I had a lot of experience in. So getting to learn a little bit about that audience, what they're looking for me, that was a lot of fun. And it was definitely a challenge because it was an audience that I hadn't worked with before, but I really liked it. The team over at Circuit Clinical, they're just brilliant. I mean, they know what they're doing. They know that audience. So getting to work with them on refining and really homing in on what that audience was going to want to hear was it was for me just a really fun challenge that I liked, and I think the results ended up being very good.
I mean, with an investor pitch deck, the end goal is getting money for the
Yes.
client. But what did we help them through the work that you were doing with them solve in the project along the way that also helped them out?
Right. So, one of the unique things about Circuit Clinical is the main product that they sell is called Trial Scout, and it helps kind of manage retention for clinical trials across all industries. So, the audience for Circuit Clinical and Trial Scout is already three unique groups of people that all kind of want different things from this software and this service. And so, just on its own as a product, trying to, you know, define exactly what those things are and communicate everything that it offers in a way that's going to appeal to their three unique audience groups. That's a challenge right off the bat. And we had done some other projects with them already, so we were pretty familiar with that. Adding in this now fourth group of venture capitalists who have this completely unique set of things that they're looking for, and being able to spin all of those benefits that we had spent so much time working out for the other three main audience groups in a way that was going to be appealing to venture capitalists who, are seeing dozens of pitches a week and have to be very discerning about who they give their money to, was a tough challenge. And there's a lot of benefits to Circuit Clinical and Trial Scout, and having to pare those down and be a little bit harsh about what we had to cut. That, everyone loves talking about it, but for this particular audience, it just wasn't going to make enough of a difference to sway them to use, this very small number of slides that we had to convince them to give Circuit Clinical money. We had to make some very harsh cuts along the way, and that's where sometimes having an outside voice can be really helpful. To have the Luminus team be able to come in and say, we know this is very important at Circuit Clinical and to Circuit Clinical, but it probably just isn't the right message here. So I think that's a way that we were able to help them out, that offered a lot of benefits in the long run.
Focus it down to the things that actually make an impact.
Yep.
The outside perspective is pretty big in that. How do you think the client actually benefited from this? I mean, they actually have gotten funding through using this. That's straight up. I mean, that's the purpose of it. It did translate into a pitch at 43 North too. We took this into the pitch deck for that as well, which they were one of the finalists in. How else do you think it benefited them as we wrap up?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they ended up being one of the finalists at 43 North, so it was really fun to get to go watch them do that. They had, even when we were making this pitch deck, I know they had a couple meetings set up, and the way that it kind of works is you almost have to, I don't want to say it's not completely blind, but you kind of cold email these venture capitalist firms and contacts, to try to get them to meet with you at all. So for them, just having something that they felt really confident in emailing out, to try to attract people's attention and get those meetings. I know they've gotten a lot of funding since then, so just knowing that we were able to help them put out this product that they were very confident in, that could help them get the funding that they needed to keep going, was nice to be a part of that. And I think just what they do overall is, it's important, and it's, I think, undervalued a lot of the time. So being able to help them get out a message for something that really is, as a community service, just so important, is, it's nice to get to do things like that at work that are making a difference beyond just achieving the direct goals in front of you.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.